a network of former grantees of the Robert Bosch Foundation. And we try to bring together everyone who received a grant from the foundation. So we have around 8,000 people online in the network together, and we try to create new ties, bring them together so they can collaborate, learn from each other, and also like start seeing the impact in the world that they would like to have. And we were really honored when Alexander, who is also an alumnus of the Bosch Foundation, approached us in his search for an event space in Berlin. And that's exactly what we try to do, to team up together and to achieve impact and to have the possibility to, of course, also talk about issues like today. So I wish you a lively discussion and hand over to Alexander.
Thank you, Lucy, for the warm welcome. And as you have pointed out, today's project is a cooperation between the International Alumni Center and the Robert Bosch Foundation for Freedom. And on behalf of the Friedrich-Naumann Foundation for Freedom, where am I working? And on behalf of the Friedrich-Naumann Foundation for Freedom, I want to take the opportunity to say a warm welcome and to today's event. My name is Alexander Barth. I'm heading the local office here in Berlin of the Friedrich-Naumann Foundation for Freedom. What do? We aim to get people actively involved in politics. We try to facilitate public debate on crucial, pressing topics. And today's topic is a pressing issue without any doubt. And today's book reading and subsequent discussion will cover the important human rights issue of female genital mutilation. And how pressing this topic is can be illustrated by the following quote. This year, 4.3 million girls are at risk of female genital mutilation. The number is projected to reach 4.6 million by 2030 as conflict, climate change, rising poverty, and inequality continue to hinder efforts to transform gender and social norms that underpin this harmful practice and disrupt programs that help protect girls. That's a joint statement of the General Director of UNFPA and UNICEF. And I am delighted that we have the opportunity to engage in conversation about this problem with Nice Leng'ete, author of the book, The Girls in the Wild Fig Tree, a powerful memoir that shows us the journey of Nice to becoming a leader in the fight against female genital mutilation. Mutilation. It's a hard word in English. I have to say. And Nice Leng'ete is part of a delegation of high-ranking human rights activists who are now sitting in the front row, and we are honored and happy and delighted that you are with us today, and we can discuss crucial topics like this, well, after the book reading with you all together. But now it's time to give the floor to Masih Chaba Mdaka, the regional program officer of the Sub-Saharan Africa office at the Friedrich-Naumann Foundation for Freedom, who will guide us through the evening, who will introduce our high-ranking guests, and who will lead the discussion. And now it's time for me to give you the floor, and I wish us all a fruitful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Alexander and Lucy. Thank you very much for that introduction. As already mentioned, my name is Masechaba Masamolawamdaka. I am the Regional Program Officer at the Friedrich-Naumann Foundation Sub-Sahara Africa office in Johannesburg, South Africa. So what an evening. Finally, we are here. It's been taking weeks of preparation. Susanna, my colleague here in the IAF office, which is the one that produces and runs all our study tours and our seminars for our networks globally as the Friedrich-Naumann Foundation. We've been hard at work trying to put this together, and I'd like to thank you all for being here this evening. A warm welcome to you all, an African welcome in Berlin. And I would also, at this moment, also like to acknowledge our digital audience. Please, we are also happy to have you here streaming to join us on this very important day of discussing a very important issue, which not only touches on Kenya, but in other parts of Africa and in some other parts of the world as well. As it rightfully states, today we are talking about FGM, but human rights in the spotlight, ending female genital mutilation, a book reading with Nice Leng'ete. And I think on that note, we can already start with an applause to welcome Nice as our guest this evening. Nice Leng'ete is an advocate for the health and rights of girls and women. She is the founder and vice chair of Nice Place Foundation, a leadership academy and safe shelter for girls built in her home community of Kajiado County. She is also the Global End FGM and Cutting advisor for AMREF Health Africa, the largest African-led international organization on the African continent. Ms. Leng'ete is the recipient of numerous international awards for her commitment to working with communities to promote gender equality and the end of harmful practices such as female genital mutilation, cutting, and child marriages. One of her many awards also includes the Four Freedoms Award, and she is also Times 100 list of the most influential people in the world. To date, Ms. Leng'ete and AMREF Health Africa have helped over 20,000 girls avoid female genital mutilation and cutting in Kenya and Tanzania through community-led alternative rites of passage programs. I would also like to just say, we'd like to keep the conversation going, both with our digital audience and with you. The hashtag for the study tour as a whole, and I will invite our other human rights defenders here to the fore after the book reading, is hashtag FN4Human So please also do drop any interesting comments from the deliberation and conversation that will take place this evening, both here in this room, as well as what comes out from the digital audience. On that note, I would like to show you a video, one that is very close to my heart. I was very fortunate last year in August to visit Nice Place Foundation, and I visited the facility, but most importantly, I had a very, very touching conversation with a lot of the girls who were there, who are victims and survivors, because I think that's important to note. So without further ado, I would like to invite you to share in this very quick moment of what I experienced while I was there. Okay, so for those of you joining me for this journey, we are here at Nice Place Foundation. I have just arrived and I've just been welcomed. We're in Kajiado County in Oloi Tok Tok. I think I got that right. So here we are at Nice Foundation Leadership Academy at St. Paul's Young Girls. I'm going to take you through a quick walkthrough of what this fantastic facility has to offer. Follow me. So this is the kitchen. I'm just going to go in here very quickly so you can meet the team. You won't stay too long here. This is where all the magic happens, and this is where the young girls receive the nutrition and the best meals. I have first-hand experience of this, and I can tell you it is fantastic. Here we are in the dormitories at Nice Foundation, where the young girls stay at the safe house. I have here Jennifer, who is one of the matrons who looks after the girls. Welcome, Jennifer. If you could kindly just introduce your role here and what you do in looking after the girls.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jennifer. I'm the matron here. This is our dormitory. We have two of the dormitories. This is Dom B, and we have Dom A with another matron, Josephine, but she's not in now. This dormitory have a capacity of 50, and the other one 50. So for both, it's 100. Yeah, for now we have 29 students
who are currently here at the facility.
So here marks the end of our visit to Nice Place Foundation. But before we go,
I can almost feel the lump in my throat again, that it takes me back to that day. Very, very sobering day of the great work, which really just epitomizes who you are and where you've come from with your own personal journey. Just to let you know, also for our digital audience, while the book reading is going on, we do invite you also to drop your questions, which will then be answered once Nice has read her book. And of course, also for our audience present here, we also invite you please to this very auditory, very personal journey. And we invite you please to listen in with us while we have Nice here with us today. So without further ado, I present Nice Leng'ete.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mercy, for the great introduction, and everyone for the warm welcome. So this book, I think it's 230 pages, and I only have 15 minutes. So I will try to really probably read a few chapters that will lead us in today's discussion. And first, before anything else, when I wrote this book, I dedicated to a few people who are very dear to my heart, and I wanted to start with that. To my parents, I hope I have made you proud, and that the bravery and strength I saw in you, the joy, compassion, and commitment that you taught me, I have been able to share with others. To the girls who have been mistreated and forgotten, and who dare to dream, I hope this serves as an inspiration that your dreams and hopes will be bigger than your reality and that you can achieve anything. To my sister, beloved family, friends, and to all who have walked this journey with me, thank you. To the girls in a Nice Place Leadership and Rescue Center, you are the future. And this is my story, and I will start. When I was born, people said I had a smooth skin and bright eyes. My parents gave me the nickname Karimbo, meaning beautiful. I still like to tease my older sister Soila that when she was born, no one called her Karimbo. My mother said that when she came out, her skin was wrinkled and her head ended in a sharp point. Even those who looked with the most loving eyes had to admit that she looked a little like a cornhead. We were wanted and loved, cornheads or not. To a Maasai man, no man is wealthy unless he has many cattle and many children. As soon as a baby is born, the father hosts a large party. There is tea and roasted meat for everyone. And people bring presents for the family. My father liked to show off to his friends. He brought a co-worker, a white English speaker, to my celebration. "Isn't she a pretty one?" he said, watching me smile. Nice baby, he could. "I like that," my father said. "We will call her Nice." He also named me Oreteti, after the Oreteti tree that grows in part of Kenya. It is spread by sending down shoots that form new trunks, and after many years, walking beneath a single tree can feel like walking through a massive grove. Some people use Oreteti bark for medicine. The wood is strong, good for making sticks to help herd animals. The tree produces figs to feed animals and people. It offers shade in the part of Kenya that is often dry and dusty. In the days before the most of us converted to Christianity, people would pray under the branches of the tree and make offerings of cow and sheep blood in times of trouble. Some still pray there. The many trunks of the Oreteti tree can feel as cool and sacred as cathedral. The Oreteti, people say, has many branches. It is a single tree, but it can support many people. When I was young, the children would tease me for the name Retetet. They would say, like a bird ramming on a hollow log. I hated the name and I picked a new name, Nailante, instead. It was a traditional girl's name with no special meaning. I choose it because it sounded nice. My Aunt Grace says the old name suits me better. Like the Oreteti, she says, I have grown to hold many people in my arms. I have sent down roots, not just in my hometown, but all over the world. People depended on me, Auntie Grace says. And if I fell, many people would weep. It is hard for me to think of myself that way in my heart. I still feel like a simple village girl, but Auntie Grace has a point. I have devoted my life to saving girls from female genital mutilation, a brutal and sometimes deadly procedure. I have traveled throughout the world, met kings and celebrities, given speeches and received awards. I have helped save thousands of girls. I am still rooted in a small Kenyan town, but I have spread my branches wide. It is fitting that I was named for a tree because it was the tree that saved my life when I ran away from female genital mutilation. Without that tree to hide, my family would have cut off my clitoris. I might have literally died from female genital mutilation. But even if I had survived, I would have experienced a different kind of death. I was a young girl, but after the cut, I would have been considered a woman and I would have been married to an older man. I would have dropped out of school. I would have worked myself to exhaustion every day, caring for my husband and children. Instead, because of that tree, my life has branched out into something entirely different. The tree gave me my life, the one I have now, the one that my father could not have dreamt of when he held me in my arms and called me nice. That was the first chapter. I will a little bit go to the second chapter and then here. So the second chapter is about a Maasai girl. I grew up in Naumayanat, a Maasai village near the town of Kimana, close to the border of Kenya and Tanzania. It is an area of plains where elephants, wild beasts, and giraffes graze on grass, and occasionally splendidly tree. Baboons and vervet monkeys will sneak into human homes to steal sugar or honey. Like us, they have sweet tooths. Where water runs, plants are thicker, and animals gather to drink and to hunt one another. Mount Kilimanjaro looms, and at the end of the day, when the sky is clearest, the sunlight glints pink off its icy summit. My town was small then, though it has since grown much larger. It was just a couple of streets of simple 1- and 2-story cinder blocks buildings. Perhaps 5,000 people lived in the town, though many of these, my family included, live in the homes far from the city center. The Maasai people own cows, sheep, and goats, so we need plenty of space for our animals to graze. In the center of town, there was a rickety market. And on Tuesdays, people would walk from miles away to display. On upturned crates, there are freshly slaughtered goat and lamb, tomatoes, and onions from small gardens, and handmade traditional clothes. Back then, the route to Nairobi was unpaved, so you needed a strong backside to ride the washboarded road. When tourists came, they usually arrived on small airstrips and bypassed our town entirely. The locals got around on motorbikes on their feet. Groups of Maasai women would cross the plains carrying loads of water or firewood. Maasai men, their bright shukas, spots of color against fading paint and dusty plants, gathered on corners or under trees. It is a dry place, and everywhere there is dust. Great funnel-like clouds of it move through the plains. The animals and people walk past, hardly noticing. The Maasai have lived in the area for centuries. Unlike some of our neighbors, we were hunted. We raised cows and goats and lived off their meat and milk. These are still our favorite foods. We ate very few vegetables or plants. One of my uncles brags that he has never tasted chicken. Families lived close together in a mixture of traditional hand-built structures and more modern concrete blocks. Traditional homes are circular structures coated with a mixture of dung and mud. 2 small beds made of stretched cowhide, one for the parents, one for the children, are the only furniture. The homes are quite small and dark, little more than sheltered during the night. Most of our time we spend outside. In our town, someone you knew was always in earshot, and children ran in and out of one another's houses, not bothering to knock. I made friends easily. I still assume I will like every new person I meet, and there is always a friendly face. It is still my home, though there are many more buildings, more people, and definitely more cars than when I was a child. I have traveled around the world, but these people call to me in a way that no other place can. I love our traditions, the bright clothes of the shukas we wear, the many voices, each singing a slightly different tune, blending in a rich harmony in our music, the generous spirit with which we share with our families and neighbors. But I want to change much about our lives, the poverty, the lack of education, and most of all, the position of women. Change, again, does not mean giving up what is good in ourselves. It means keeping what is best while accepting the need to grow. We can herd cattle while carrying cell phones. We can wear traditional clothes some days and pantsuits in others. We can eat our simple meals of meat and milk, and also enjoy a spicy chicken vindaloo or a cool fresh cucumber salad. We can maintain our strong family bonds while our women get education and bring money into the family. I am Maasai. I am part of the community, and it's part of me. And my life began here, and so did my mission. So from there, now I will go to the other chapter. I will try and skip to 144. And now this is a chapter that talks about my life and my sister when we were running away from female genital mutilation. As I said, I was born in southern part of Kenya, and I grew up under the care of my grandfather. But when my mother was alive before she died, she would wake us up every morning at 4 a.m. to go and witness other girls when they're undergoing female genital mutilation. And out of the many ceremonies I attended, I saw a girl dying because of circumcision. I saw most of them because they were my friends leaving schools after the cut, because when you're circumcised, as much as you're 10 years or 12 years or 13, it's done because it's a rite of passage from girlhood to womanhood. So it means you're not able to go to school and you're married off at an early age. After witnessing that, I knew that is not what I wanted. I wanted to continue with my education so that I can come later on and try and save other girls. I lost my parents, my father and mother, at the age of 7 years, and I had to go and live with my grandfather. And when I went and lived with my grandfather together with my sister, our time to undergo circumcision came at the age of 8. And my sister was 2 years older than me. She was 10 years. And I remember when I was trying to explain to my family that I don't want to be cut, I want to continue with my education. But it was very difficult because my family did not want to be the first people to have a girl who has not been cut. Because remember, if you have not been cut, you're not accepted in that community. And also, there is no man from that community who is going to marry you because they just say you're a girl, you're a child, so you're not able to have children, you're not able to be married off and all that. And time for me and my sister to undergo circumcision came when I was 8 and she was 10. And we had to move from our grandfather's place to our uncle's place. Our uncle was also circumcising her 3 daughters. So we had to join that group. And we went there, and I remember still telling my sister, I don't want to die like so-and-so. I don't want to leave school. I don't want to be married. I want to continue with my education. My sister also wanted the same. She wanted to go on with her education. By that time, we did not have the laws. We did not know where to run to. It was a must for every girl. And people around us, my mother, my mother's sister, my grandmother, and everyone around us was cut. So it was really not easy for the community to agree or to understand why we don't want to undergo the cut. And when I left my home and lived with my grandfather, I also got a chance to go to a boarding school when I was in standard 3. And also that's when I started realizing that also female genital mutilation is not done to every girl. I was interacting with different girls from that school. And I remember I was always telling my teacher, I want to be a teacher like you. And my teacher, Caroline, will tell me, if you want to be a teacher like me, then you have to stay in school. You have to work hard. And I am from a community where girls are not circumcised. So if you don't agree to undergo the cut and agree to stay in school, you can always work on your dreams and you can be anything you want to be. And that motivated me a lot. But it was, as I said before, it was not easy to convince everyone. So we went to our uncle's place. Our circumcision together with my sister and my 3 cousins was organized. We woke up at 4 a.m. because you normally have to wake up at 4 a.m. and shower with cold water that has slept outside for 2 days. And that water is supposed to act as anesthesia. Because remember, when you're undergoing the cut, there are things that you're not allowed to do. It's like a taboo. And one is crying. You're not allowed to cry. Move your eyes. You are called a coward. Or again, there is no man from that community who is going to marry you. And that is why my mother, when she was alive, she would wake us up together with my sister to go and witness how strong other girls are, so that when it's our time, we don't shame our parents or the community. And already we had discussion with my sister, because she also wanted to stay in school, on how we were going to run away. So after we showered with the cold water, we identified a tree outside our uncle's place, and I went there. Together with her support, I climbed first, and then she climbed. But then again, it was late at night. We couldn't go down. If we went down, people will come and probably even do it to us forcibly. Again, it's late at night. You can't walk. There are wild animals, or even they can come with motorbikes and find you. And we had to wait until there was light. And when there was light, we came down and we walked for more than 15 kilometers to our mother sister's place. But after a week, our uncle and a group of men came because they realized we were there, and we were beaten and threatened. So we had to promise that next time we'll not run away, but we will proceed with the cut. So we came back home to our grandfather's home. Schools were opened, went back to school. And we stayed until we closed school. So our circumcision again was organized for the second time, and we ran away. And then it was organized again for the third time. And I remember when I was with my sister, waking up at 4 a.m., showering with cold water, I told her, even if it means running away 100 times, we need to run for our rescue, because we don't want to die. We don't want to be married when we are still children. We don't want to be mothers when we are still children. But my sister told me, Nice, we ran away the first time, the second time, we were beaten and threatened. And we had to even promise that we'll not run away. And probably if we run away, they might even do something worse to us now. So why can't we just stay? And I told my sister, I can't stay. I still need to run for my rescue. So my sister told me, because I'm older than you, maybe if I agree to undergo the cut, they will allow you to go to school. And I remember after showering with the cold water, walking to the tree, because my sister promised me she will not tell anyone. I will say it was very difficult for me, because I knew I'm leaving my sister behind. Something might happen to her. She might get cut. She might, she might die. And even if she doesn't, and even if she will come out alive, I knew that it's the end of her education. Now my sister will be married to a man who is not even of her choice, and to an older man. But when I was in that tree, I couldn't go back to save her, because if I went, they might do it to me forcibly. So my sister was not lucky. She got circumcised at that early age. And at the age of 13 years, she was married off. So I always say it's one of the difficult moments for me, but she gives me hope. And that's why I'm here today, to continue empowering girls, to continue talking to people. And I thank you. I said, I can't be sad every time. And I can't be asking myself questions every time. It's high time for me to now start empowering other girls, so that they don't have to undergo what my sister Suila underwent. And I decided to go back to my village and talk to my grandfather and try and convince him that I am still young, give me more time to go to stay in school, so that maybe in future, when I know I'm strong enough, I will agree. So it was just a way of me bargaining so that I have a chance to stay in school. And after they planned for me again and again, I decided to go and stay with my teacher in school, who gave me a safe space and who kept encouraging me that if you want to be a teacher like me, you have to really work hard in your studies. And I'm happy because I always say all of us, we need role models. And my teacher was one person who was really trying to encourage me to continue. She was the person who was giving me hope to really continue in school so that I can achieve whatever I wanted. And when I went back to my village, remember, after staying in school, because school is not my home, it was not easy for me because every girl around me has been cut. All the women around me, they have already undergone female genital mutilation. So there are names that they give uncircumcised women in our mother tongue, and sometimes they don't sound nice. But I think it gave me hope. And one time I told myself, if I'm the only girl in this community who have not undergone FGM, they will still be calling me those names. They will still see me as a bad example. But what if we have 100 girls, 1,000 girls like me who have not undergone the cut? I don't think they will continue laughing at us or giving us those names. And that's how I decided to start movements in my own village and continue now to start the conversation about FGM and child marriage with our community. Because remember, it's a very sensitive cultural issue. It's not easy. It's not something that you can go and tell people, you have to stop today because we have the law and this is what he's saying. Remember, it's a cultural issue. It's very difficult. You need a lot of patience to be able to change it. But at the same time, it's also important for us to continue telling the community what do we feel as young girls? How do we want to be treated? How do we want to be supported? And remember, also running away is not a solution. I ran away. Yes, maybe I was able to do that. But how many girls every day who don't have an opportunity to go to school? How many girls each and every day who are married when they are still children because they have been cut and the community is taking them as women and they are still children because they are at the age of 12 and 13? And how many girls who have disability, who cannot walk, who are blind, where are they going to run to? And that is how I was able to start community movements in my community, whereby we are bringing our fathers together, we are bringing our mothers together and everyone in the community and have structured dialogue. And that is how we were able to start what we call the Alternative Rites of Passage movement, which is a community-led movement that we are simply saying, our culture as the Maasai people is beautiful. What is good in our culture? What can we keep and what can we replace? So in the whole process of female genital mutilation, what is wrong is the cut, but all the other celebration around womanhood, the blessing we get from the cultural leaders, those are not harmful, and those are practices that we need to move. So that will take me, again, sorry if I had 15 minutes, if I'm not, if I've used all the time you tell me. And I'll take you to page 209, where we will talk about today's topic more, and that's changing tradition. Okay, thank you. So changing tradition. Female genital mutilation is tremendously painful and tremendously damaging, but it's also often one of the highlights of a Maasai girl's life. I do not mean that she enjoys the cut or its impact. Every girl dreads that, but she gets new clothes. She gets special instruction from the women who love her. Her family and her friends roast meat and singing songs just for her. She gets to feel like a grown-up. From a Maasai girl, it may be one moment in her life when she is treated like someone special. It is not just the girls who value the ceremony. It is an opportunity for the entire community to celebrate. For the women, it is a break from the drudgery of daily life, a time to socialize with other women. For the men, it is a time to sing, eat, and drink with family and friends. For everyone, it is a way to gather as a community and mark a passage in our lives. It is the equivalent of a wedding, a bat mitzvah, or a time to acknowledge a girl coming to womanhood, but also a time for the entire community to come together. Female genital mutilation, or CAT, needs to disappear. But the girl still deserves a special ceremony in her life, and the community still deserves a celebration. We do not ask communities to give up their traditions. We ask them to replace the traditions with what we call alternative rites of passage. The Samburu people, neighbors of the Maasai, who share a very similar language and a culture, worked alongside AMREF to develop the alternative rites of passage. The entire community, including church leaders, elders, and most importantly, the girls themselves, created the rites as a way of discouraging child marriage while still honoring our traditions. The Maasai further developed the alternative rites of passage to better suit our own community. Part of my work has been organizing these rites in communities and working with the local people to adapt them to their own needs. AMREF says, flexible. The beauty of alternative rites of passage is that each community make them its own. My first alternative rites of passage was in my village, Nomayanat. Like that terrible morning when I first saw the cat, it was a community celebration. But for these festives, we changed the focus to celebrating girls and their future accomplishments. For 3 days, girls received special instruction from older women. But in these lessons, they learned about birth control, educational and economical opportunities, and personal health. Not just about taking care of a husband and children. I did not have to hide with the girls under a tree outside of town when I spoke to them about the dangers of the cat and the opportunities they could have if they avoided. The other teachers I spoke with, the blessings, the other teachers and I spoke with the blessings of the girls' mothers and grandmothers. Community women taught the girls about the Maasai traditions, such as singing, bead making, and clothing. Even the boys got lessons. Kenyan boys needs to know about education and health as well, for both themselves and the girls in their lives. They need to learn that female genital mutilation is not just a girl's problem. It affects the entire community, including the boys' sisters and the future wives. We ended the alternative rites of passage with a candle night ceremony. The girls had developed this part of the rites on their own. They wanted something that was about just them. The girls got beautiful traditional clothes, just as they would have if they were undergoing the cut. And they walked in front of the community, each girl holding a candle, singing about extinguishing female genital mutilation and replacing it with the light of education. As I watched the faces pass, each light by pride and candle night, I smiled. Here was hope, and here there was future. The entire community came together. Best of all, since the girls were not going to get the cut, even a small ceremonial one. They could join in the songs, dancing and feasting, and followed by the ceremony. We did not destroy Maasai tradition. We honored it and made it better. I have proudly attended dozens of alternative rites of passage since the first one. I have watched the girls with their heads held high, singing about growing up and getting an education. I have watched quiet girls learn to project their voices and make speeches. I have watched their entire communities, men and women, both cheering them on. It makes me proud of my work, and it makes me proud to be a Maasai. I do not pretend that alternative rites of passage solve the problem of female genital mutilation. Some of the girls who go through the ceremony end up having the cut later. But it is part of our arsenal, and it does help many girls avoid the cut. If I had been offered the alternative rites of passage, I might never had to run. I wonder sometimes what my parents will think of my work. Both believed in the Maasai and they loved our people. They supported tradition, and our tradition included female genital mutilation. It was my mother, after all, who first took me to see the cut. Both of my parents also believed in growing as a people and moving forward. For my father, that meant forming our own game reserves, taking a place in the Kenyan government, and most of all, promoting education. For my mother, that meant farming and supporting women. I like to think that they began a process of growth, and I am finishing it. I support what it means to be Maasai, but I am doing it without hurting girls. I hope that my parents were here, I will be able to convince them, just as I have convinced thousands of others. I hope that they might even learn to be proud of me. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so that is the alternative rites of passage that we've been using with the Maasai community in Kenya and Tanzania to replace the cut with. But that said, as he was talking before earlier, I can't remember his name, he said that millions of girls this year or every year are still at risk of undergoing female genital mutilation. The 20,000 girls we've been able to reach in Kenya and Tanzania, that is one number, but we still have many girls each and every day, or millions of girls each year who still experience the cut. And we all know it's not a Kenyan issue, it's not an African issue, it's a global issue, because even in Europe, it's still a problem with the immigrants and different people. But I believe by people like you who are seated here, all of us who are here, we continue raising awareness about FGM and child marriage. That is the only way we'll be able to give our girls hope, and that is the only way we will ensure that also our girls are getting an education. So thank you so much for listening, and yeah, looking forward to continue to have this conversation.
Another warm round of applause, please, for Nice, for all intents and purposes. Thank you so much again for taking us through this journey. I know for many of you who may already have read the book, and for some of us, or those who have not yet had the pleasure of going through every single page and walking and visualizing what this path means, not only just for your activism, but also what it means for thousands of other girls around the world, not just in Africa, but globally. So from your thoughts to the ink on the pages, and from your words through your mouth this evening, I'd like to thank you again. And I'm sure even our digital audience, which is present, are showing you digital hands right now. So, with that said, I would like to invite you, Nice, to please join me in the seat next to where I'm sitting. And Nice and I, of course, did not come alone, as I mentioned. We are part of a tour titled Face Me, and it is a human rights defender study tour of human rights activists, workers, who really do the hard work, the work that is not attractive, the work that most of us probably would run away from, but they are really the mechanism and the energy behind a lot of the work that we see happening on the ground. And we are lucky enough and fortunate to be working with them. So on that note, I would like to invite them up to join us on the stage while I do a few housekeeping announcements. If you will please join me, my dear human rights defenders. So we had also we had hoped that part of this evening would also form part of a book signing. Unfortunately, that plan did not take through, but all hope is not lost, because Nice's book is actually available on Amazon, and I believe through other avenues as well. So if you haven't been lucky enough yet to get a copy of yours, we had hoped to share a copy with all of you today. But it's something which can still be found on Amazon, whether it's an auditory book or if you want to get the physical copy. So whichever your listening or reading pleasure is, I think you will be covered. So, Nice, I think we will start with some questions, but maybe before we get going, we will be taking some questions from our digital audience. But please, as I take you through the introduction of our human rights defenders here on stage, if you could already think about some of the questions you would like to present to Nice, but also our esteemed panel that has joined us here on stage. So with that said, Nice, I'd like to take you back. You know, part of the work that we do also as Friedrich-Naumann Foundation in the Sub-Saharan Africa region is a podcast which we use really to highlight the work of all human rights defenders in their shapes and forms with your different causes that you support and that you work so tirelessly for. I want to take you back to a moment in your book where we speak about alternative rites of passage. I think from an African perspective, many of us can really relate to the issue of rites of passage in our various forms from our ethnic groups. And you speak about the hope that you carry, that we move from the cut to rather shining a beacon on education to empower young girls and take them forward. And I think with that, you've said so much, and I think you've covered so many points in the pieces that you read, the excerpts that you've read from your book. If you'll kindly share the image in the back here. And I think it really just embodies, but I don't want to do it. I would like you please to tell us what this picture means to you and what it says about where you come from and your cause and where it's going.
Yeah, so I think in both pictures I'm in the middle. The first one, that's me, and I think my sister and cousin in my village. And then the second picture is me and my beautiful girls in a Nice Place Leadership Academy. So I didn't talk about the Leadership Academy because that's what I was supposed to end with. This is where we are giving girls a safe shelter and a place they can call home when they are empowered. And I think that is the last chapter in my book. And I think it's just 2 paragraphs. I will end with that. And it says, I am making it my mission to create a generation of female leaders. A Nice Place is going to be the facility where girls in Kenya and Tanzania can come for training. We are building a clean, simple, solid building. There will be modern plumbing and a modern kitchen and a room to our work and a room to do our work. But girls will learn practical, marketable skills. I have noticed in the travels that Westerners like their jewelry simpler and less colorful than we do. Instead of the necklaces that we are a riot of color, they will like 1 or 2 colors at the most. The girls will learn to make those. Once they have the skills to cater to Western taste, they can bring more money home. But much importantly, a nice place will teach the girls, it will teach the girls to change their communities. It will empower the girls to take charge. I turned down a management position to keep working in our communities because change is best achieved person to person. The problem is one person can only reach so far. When my father died, there was no one to replace him, and many of his reforms, including the game reserves he had worked so hard for, fell apart. The land is still there, but there is no one to operate it. That is not going to happen when I am gone, because I am going to leave hundreds of people to do my work. A nice place will help build an army of strong, knowledgeable girls, spreading out the Maasai lands in Kenya and Tanzania. Each of those girls will in turn inspire other girls to follow her. Female leadership will spread like a virus, and a good virus in that case. And the work will spread. Someday, maybe we will send girls throughout Africa and even the rest of the globe. We are going to change the world. Yes, years ago, I changed my life by running from the cat. I ran farther than I could have ever dreamt. I am still running. I am going to keep going until every girl in the world can live a dignified life to the fullest. I am going to run until all my dreams come true. And one of the dreams, just to end with, is the beautiful girls in a nice place. And I think those are the future leaders. Those are the leaders of today. That's what they say. And my work is to continue to empower them. I call them younger nices, so that they can take over and ensure they also mentor other generations and other girls.
In true pioneering spirit. Thank you so much, Nice. What started off as bleak is definitely a bright future for everybody who looks up to you. I would like for our very esteemed panel and delegation to now introduce themselves as we go into a Q&A. If you would start, please, Ms. Valerie. Hi, your surname. I'm still practicing.
Thank you, Maasai. Good evening, our audience and our live audience as well. My name is Valerie Joya. I am from Zimbabwe. I work for an organization called Legal Resources Foundation that works for the promotion of human rights and access to justice for marginalized communities. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Natalia Kweza, also from Zimbabwe. I work with a youth leadership development and advocacy organization called We Lead Trust. And hello, especially to the people joining online. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here with you all. I'm Jamo Esther Omam from Cameroon. I work with an organization called Reach Out Cameroon, which supports women and youth in marginalized or underserved communities through promotion, protection of women and children's rights at the forefront of humanitarian response, doing mediation and peace building.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for having us here today. It's an honor to be in Berlin. My name is Anthony Masake. I come from Uganda. I work with an organization called Chapter 4 Uganda. It's a civil rights group that works on civic space issues. So I do a lot of work with human rights defenders, a lot of work with pro-democracy actors, and a lot of work also with civil society organizations to try and make sure that they have the space that they need to be able to do the work that they're doing. Thank you so much for having us here today.
Hi, everyone. To the audience online, hi. And present here, my name is Rachel Mwikali. I'm a human rights defender and a feminist activist. I work with a social movement called Coalition for Grassroots Human Rights Defenders, which is a movement of grassroots activists, feminists, and community organizers. We are based in the largest second slum or informal settlement in Kenya, and we organize community and women to advocate for human rights, social justice, and gender equality, and also kids to be also advocates of human rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I would also, at this moment in time, like to recognize my boss, Ms. Inga Habert, who is also part of our audience today. She is the Regional Director for Sub-Saharan Africa. She's sitting in the audience, so I don't know if she wants to walk up to the stage as well. But she is also present here with us to support this delegation while we are here in Germany, really just highlighting the cause and the plight of the situations that you all come from in your different countries. So you have already mentioned where you come from. We've got 4 countries represented here in the form of our 6-person delegation. And collectively, myself, Inga, and all of them included, I think our work experience spans over 2 centuries if you put it together. So that sort of tells you the sort of mettle and the quality of what is really spearheading a lot of what you see present here on the stage. And it's not just them, it's the people that work with them. It's also the people who they actually support. And this is why we would like to present them not only to you, but to the wider audience and also other stakeholders who are there also to be your beacon of hope, because that is so important. I would like, at this moment in time, I think we've neglected you long enough. If there are any questions from the audience, we invite you, please, anything you take out of the book reading or any questions which maybe have niggled your thought process around anything you would like to hear. If there are any questions. If not, then I would then take it back to our panel here, maybe just to
so many trees for other people to be safe, and applause to you and really hats off to you. This is really impressive. I'm sitting here, just the experiences that I have in my life, and just like looking at you now, you have very different experiences. This is really impressive. So, but my question is, you talked about the culture, and the culture is very slow. When the culture ends, it ends very slow. It builds up very slowly, and if you want to change it, it changes very slowly. So you talk about the alternative methods of like replacing this female genital mutilation. So what we need to do as a whole society, like someone who is sitting here, and I don't have a lot of experiences working in a country like Kenya. So how we can change this cultural practices? So what do we need? Do we need to only have this alternative method, or do we need to have more and beyond that? Because we have maybe legal measures in place, but sometimes it doesn't work because it's not practiced. So maybe you can just say some words about that. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just take a moment, because I'm not sure if this is coming from all the members of the digital audience. I think there's a problem with the audio. If you could just check that. Is it fixed now? Okay, perfect. Sorry, I didn't want them to lose any of what is the conversation that's happening here. I'd like to maybe take a batch of 3 questions, and then I'll throw it back to the panel. Do we have another question? Maybe then I will start with the gender imbalance representation here on the panel. we did try through no fault of our own. So perhaps, Anthony, you could answer the question firstly, and I'll maybe just skip to maybe two of the other members of the panel around, whether we all knew each other before and what is the hope for potential collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Maasai. So, and again, the only guy, part of the delegation, truly humbled. It's nice, and thank you so much, FNF. So, I mean, just to respond to that question very directly in the interest of time, we didn't really know each other before this, and when we first met, it was really time for the introductions and then having the conversations about what we're doing. I think the comrades from Zimbabwe are the ones who kind of knew each other, but had never really met with the rest of the group. So it was really fantastic to get to meet. And in terms of the things that we're already thinking about doing together, I've already had a very long conversation with Nice about how we need to take more of these stories to the blog, because I think that the Nice Place needs a blog so that more of these stories can be published and can be readily accessible online. So already there are already areas of collaboration because I'm a political blogger myself. So I'm looking forward to doing something with her so that we see how we can spread this skill, not only with her, but also the girls and the people that work at the Nice Place, so that we can have more blogs and more stories coming from the community almost in real time.
Okay, I'll take it from here. That was a very interesting question, because since Saturday that we met, people have been asking that question. When they see us together, the way we interact, they start asking if we knew ourselves before. And we said, no, we had not met before. But for you in Tanzania, Arusha, where we met, yeah, far away, yeah. So as a team like this, we never met before. What does this mean? It means that it goes to what some of us have been saying, that human rights defenders are at the forefront of actions to the risk of their lives because of the many threats which they undergo. And we keep asking the question every day, that who protects us with what means? Do we do that work? How do we go to the places where we go to? And this is where FNF come on board. We've been asking this question because there is need to ensure our safety and security in our various countries. And there is no better way of doing it than getting opportunities such as these. And they provided this opportunity to us, and we are here. We're talking about recognition. We need to be recognized for the work which we're doing. We need to be supported financially for the work which we're doing. We need to be equipped with all possible equipments and skills on safety and security so as to enable us sustain the actions which we are carrying out. We may say, no, we never knew ourselves before, but because of the NFA, I would say, yes, we knew ourselves because through them we've been interacting, and we are here today. I just wanted to add this to what my brother here, Anthony, just said. And ever since we met, we've been trying to see how we can put up a strong support system among ourselves first, before expecting it from any other person, thanks to what they did by bringing us together. I spoke with Nice and I told her that we have a safe space, which is called Esther's Brave Space, where we have survivors of gender-based violence, and we'll need to compare notes and see how we can tap from each other's best practices. I already spoke with Rachel. We're so much into community mobilization, and we've started exploring ways of collaboration. and I spoke with her, and we hope that before we leave here, all of us will have put down our thoughts in an organized way, so that when going, you who is seated here can be able to help us through FNF. Thank you.
Don't worry. Okay. Let Rachel go. I wanted to save the best for last, but you can go.
So what I really want to add is the fact that we have also this opportunity of not knowing each other from a point of engaging, but having this platform where also FNF has provided, together with our teacher Salim, Dr. Salim, and the other also facilitator. It's a point of also one, to sort of do a reflection of our work. Because in most of the time, the environment also we work in our local community, it's like an ambulance, like 24/7. You have no point of stepping back a bit and reflecting, and also building the power we have. As you can all see, these are very powerful activists from Global South, like in Africa, but we never knew what each other we are doing. But this is a point of also bringing each other, even if you add by name, like Nice, she's doing fantastic work. We have never been together, but this is a point of also bringing the power together when you talk of also solidarity. Now, when I go to Cameroon, I know I have a sister on community collective care and protection. When you go to Uganda, I know I also have a brother. When I go also to Zimbabwe, we know we have two sisters. So for me, this is a very big opportunity of not knowing each other, but knowing each other based on the work, but at the same time, seeing where most of our governments currently anti-human rights and the space shrinking is also from a point of ensuring that even after this, what we are planning collective is to have a common project together. Thank you.
Namatai?
Okay, so I'm just thinking to myself that most of what needed to be said has already been said. But I think my only addition to this is that, so I think before coming here, I think at original conference I had met Rachel, and she was very, very dynamic and amazing. And also I met Mamesta in Tanzania, in Arusha, at a leadership conference. So it's those, and also I know Valerie from Zimbabwe. She's really awesome. So I think coming to this platform has given us an opportunity to really bond. I think it's bonding over shared muse, over laughter, over selfies, over that, like touring the city as well, but also the lessons that we are sharing amongst each other, and also the lessons that we're getting from the foundation, and the lessons that we are actually leaving there. I think most importantly has been being able to debate and argue. We don't always agree on everything, but it's exciting to be, saying something, one person push back and to laugh about it later on. I think in terms of collaboration, definitely prospects of projects, prospects of even some things that are simple and unfunded are very much looming. And I'm quite optimistic, especially to work with Rachel, because I think of the amazing work, feminism in Kenya, and fundamentally also because of how they are addressing the gender equality question, and also making use of feminist principles to actually address some of the challenges in their community. So that is pretty exciting, but also just to explore possibilities of collaborating with everyone else who's here. So I think I'll stop here for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Please take the floor.
Okay, I'll make it short. So the first time that I was approached by the FNF, it was a major surprise, particularly to attend this regional exchange tour in Berlin. And I think they were very calculative and meticulous in their selection of people that ever attended this. And I've learned so much. We are of different ages, different professions, but we have a common thread where we find commonalities in the way that we implementing projects in our various areas. So just to say, we're grateful for this opportunity. I don't think I would have ever met my brother there, but this has created an opportunity for us not only to interact here, but also to plan in terms of future programming and so forth. So in terms of one common string that ties all the organizations here, it's support from the FNF, and we're truly grateful for that. Some of our institutional capacity as an organization would not have been possible without support from the FNF. You have your mainstream funders that fund programmatic activities, that fund your admin costs and so forth, but FNF comes through the institutional strengthening, and our organizations have really benefited a lot from that. Thank you.
And Nice, please, very briefly to end.
Yeah, because they already said more than enough. So I think I will go straight to the question, Dr. Salim. And I think for me, alternative rites of passage is a solution to the Maasai community, because female genital mutilation, remember, each community has its own reasons on why they are doing it. For us, it's a rite of passage from girlhood to womanhood. It's what makes you a woman. That's where the rites of passage works there. But if you go to the Muslim community, or even Senegal, whereby they are doing to newborn babies, for them it's because of hygiene or purity, and other communities believe like if you don't cut the clitoris, it's going to grow. So there are many myths around female genital mutilation, which is different in each community. That's why we don't have one fit solution to end FGM. But what I'll say, in the many years, maybe over 10 years now, working with the Maasai community or different communities, at least I've picked a few, maybe 1 or 2 lessons. And I think one of them, as I said, when you're trying to change culture, you have to be patient, because it's not like you'll talk to people today and then they will change the following day. You need a lot of patience, because it's about changing mindset, culture, a tradition that has been there for hundreds or even thousands of years, and it takes time. And I think the other thing is really listening and talking less, because sometimes when you go to a community, you want to tell them like you know everything. Stop it, don't do this, don't do that. They will not listen to you, because dialogues are very important, because that's our way of doing things there, is really to talk less and give them time to talk more. As much as they are giving you 100 reasons on why they feel FGM is right, but listen to that and tell them maybe at that point it had a meaning, but now we are in a point that we are saying, it's not just a physical cut, it's a cut of human rights, it's a cut of their dreams, it's a cut of their future, and we need to stop that. And I think the other important thing is really not being judgmental and treat people with a lot of love, because that's the culture they know. Sometimes they don't do it because they hate their daughters. They believe that that's the best way for their daughters to be able to be accepted. But I think above all, what is really important is, like Kenya, we know we have the 2011 Prohibition Act against female genital mutilation. And in almost all countries whereby they practice FGM in Africa, they have laws, but female genital mutilation is not ending. Why is it not ending? And those are the questions probably we need to ask ourselves, because even in my community, we border Tanzania. Because in Kenya, the law is strict. They take their daughters to Tanzania and they experience the cut. They are also taking circumcision age to under 5 years to babies who will never even know that it has ever done to them. So what I'm simply saying, the law is important, but let's have the law in one wing, and we also have dialogue in the other wing, so that we tell them this is what the law says, but we need to talk. We know it's not right to our girls. We need to change it. And above all, what is important is investment in education for both boys and girls. Because if we don't take our girls to school, if we don't take our boys to school, we'll never be able to end. We come from communities whereby wife beating is a way of showing love. Remember, those boys, their fathers are their role models. So I'm not saying we just talk to girls and women. I think it's everyone's issue. We need to raise our boys knowing that it's not okay to beat your wife. It is okay to protect your sister from FGM, from child marriage, because we all understand in some communities the position of male leadership. They make decisions. But as we do that, lastly, let us not see men as enemies of change. We need to work together. We need to continue empowering our fathers. We need to continue empowering our brothers, so that we walk as one. And as we've been able to reach over 20,000 girls, it's not something I did alone or women by themselves. There are men and boys who also care, and they've been able to support us with that. So I'll end it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think you can give yourselves all a round of applause. And I definitely want to just reinforce what you've said, Rachel, around strength and solidarity, because the work you do, there's very little take back. You give so much of yourselves. Your lives are put in danger more often than not, and not just you, but those who are close to you. And one of the ways, of course, as FNF, is that not only through our country programs, but what strengthens our reach and where we can also, look for the people who do need our help in terms of amplifying your voices, is also doing the regional work. And this is why, bringing you all together, I know, apart from our many nights of working really hard and planning and what are we going to do when we leave here, I can tell you we are the most entertaining bunch to be around. So if ever you want to invite us to dinner, we are here until tomorrow evening. Very hearty laughs, but many lessons to be taken forward. Our digital audience, I must say, I think are just wowed by everything they're hearing here, because they're very silent. I know they're present, but I think they're definitely still locked into to hearing what we have to say. If we have any more questions from our audience, we would like to maybe take 2 or 3 more. Is there anybody, whatever it is that you feel you need to say, now is the time. So I think with that said, I'd really like to just, again, digital hands as well as a round of applause, please, for Ms. Nice Leng'ete. And to our very, very esteemed and very important delegation, Valerie, Namatai, Mama Esther, Anthony, and Rachel. You empower us as funders, as people who support programs, because I think there's a very skewed view sometimes of how support is seen. It's not just financial. Solidarity and actually presence and support through advice or whatever it may be, even just building the bridges between people goes a long way. And we'd like to thank you also, our audience, for being here with us tonight and sharing in the book reading and also the stories and introductions of our panel. I'd like to also thank the Bosch Foundation, the IAC. Thank you so much for the space, the guys who are working at the back, Susanna, from my colleague from the IAF, and this amazing guy called Marius, who just makes things happen in 5 minutes, sitting behind the audio and visual. So thank you very much to our digital audience. Thank you and good evening.